Hello, y'all on YouTube. This is Rob from Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today I have an interesting video for you. I want to talk about Rob's ramblings about surprise knives, I guess, or surprises in knives that you bought that you were liking a whole lot more before you even knew that they were there. And I have a little sampling here of a few knives where that happened to me over time and recently. And so these are some of the knives where I've had that experience. So I'll just jump right into it. Uh, One of the first knives that I've had in a while back, a few years ago, was this Bade Modern Design Stunner. I got this in. I liked the way it looked. It just looked aesthetically pleasing. And so I thought that was really cool. Well, when I got it, what I really found out was the action was ridiculous. It was the smoothest knife I had at that point. The ability to to use the flipper, the ability to use the thumb studs beautifully, the ability to use the reverse thumb studs was just phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed that. And the way it fit and functioned was just phenomenal. I was just shocked. It had one of my first hollow grind knives, not the first, but one of the first, right? It was full titanium, milled on the inside to really reduce weight, as you can see. And I love this. I would call this meteorite textured carbon fiber. That was just really, really wonderful. I was expecting it to be okay, but once I got it, I mean, it's just a fidget dream. And I can't tell you how many times I just love to pull it out and just carry it and use it. That's a knife that I probably won't get rid of or ever get rid of because I love this knife. So that was a really beautiful surprise and one of those knives that I will keep in my collection because of that. I really, really love that. That was a lot of fun. Another one recently was this Keen. Now, this is a Ray Laconico design, as you can see by the Ray Laconico on there, typical of his knives. Um, I saw a review on this by Neves Knives, and he talked about the knife being a great knife, and then he talked about how he reverse flicked it with his middle finger right here like this. Oops, gotta get there. And how that just is his number one method to deploy it, which is probably true for me now. I do like to reverse flick when I don't have a little injury, right? It's a little harder with that. But this knife, when I got it, was such a surprise. Beautiful action, buttery smooth. Um, just really have to resist carrying this all the time. There's a lot of knives that I could carry just exclusively and not think about another knife. But this is one of those. Love, love, love the action. And what's surprising is there's no jimping on the flipper tab. The way everything works and the way it's just perfect is just ridiculous. I could do the push button and I can do the light switch, and it just deploys beautifully. It locks up, engages like a full 30% every time. Just really wonderful. And including with the reverse flick, just again, one of those surprises, you get it and you're like, okay, I figure it's going to be a flipper. I heard it's going to be nice. And then when you start reverse flicking, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. It's addictive. It's great. I love this knife, and it's very functional. The design, everything, the comfort, the usability is just. It was more. It was like a bonus. It was like more knife than I expected to get when I bought it. Let's see here. Another one that I got recently, I believe, or a little while back, was this one here, Leon Ma. It was one of those Grail knives. I've always wanted one of these. Beautiful, nice space coral, fat carbon, gorgeous design. Almost looks like an integral, but it's not. It's their fine line right there. You can see, but it's close to an integral as you'd get unless you pay the extra $300-400 for an integral. An integral is basically a big chunk of titanium. It's one piece milled out. It's not put together as two halves, and so that always will cost more. And so I got this, and I thought, man, it's going to be really nice, and I enjoyed it. Oh yeah, it was. It was, and I thought I would put in skiff cage ceramic ball bearings. Didn't need to. It's beautiful. And then this fuller. I was hoping you might be able to deploy from it, but I never realized how satisfying that has become. Just absolutely fun, and the action and the drop shutness is just insane. Again, this is one of those knives that I knew would be nice. It was beautiful. I love the blade design. I love the very flat edge that it had as a flat grind, but it comes to a beautiful thin point and edge. Definitely not when you want to be poking and bending anything, because you'll break that. It'll be a waste of your money. But beautiful slicer, just a beautiful, beautiful slicer. So that was another surprise. I expected it to be nice, but it wasn't as big a surprise, right? So another one that I saw recently, was I had a Dan Carrier knife before, and I had his Integral. Loved that knife. Just didn't carry it because it was really nice and expensive, so I ended up selling it. And if, like I say, if you guys didn't know this, if it's in my collection and I don't use or carry it, and it's not one that I'm regularly carrying, I will get rid of it. I'll sell it, or if it's a inexpensive knife, I'll give it to as a gift or a friend, or what have you. But I will most likely sell the knife. This was a smaller knife. I knew it was smaller, but I really liked everything about it. It had all these multiple deployment and reminded me a little bit of like the Enrique Pena Trapper. I have one of those. That's another fun one. But that I can, open it with a front flip. Really, really, really nice. Works great. But it also had this regular flipper, and I wasn't sure if I'd like it because of the placement, but it works wonderfully. And then the fuller, all of this is so satisfying with the acoustics and the feel of this knife. Really, really, really pleasing. Again, it was a knife that I thought I would enjoy. It's a knife that I thought was really cool, but it became even more enjoyable than what I thought it would be. Again, I like knives that are like that surprise when you get that extra in it. Another one would be recently that came out, and probably everyone's knife of the years is Pyrite. This is the limited edition, and I was not expecting that I would like this as much. It looked like it was just a button lock and a thumb stud, so it seemed a little boring. The budget one I had at first, and whew, man, I loved it. The engineering and how they placed all these things on here is amazing. Let me just show you. Hardly any effort. Anytime I give this to somebody and ask them to open this, and I say, just run along the edge here and move your finger, and they are surprised how perfectly they deploy it. So watch this. Every time. Deploys without, you don't have to even know how to do this. I just move my finger there, and it goes. Likewise, I move my finger here. Just watch this on the back here. Ready? Just deploys. Super easy. The physics are just, they got the angles right. They voodoo magic the angles to make it work. And then on top of this, what I love is I learned how to middle finger flick like I did on this one here. I told you I like to deploy that with my middle finger. That's always a lot of fun. Well, because this is a flat edge right here and it goes all the way up to the top, guess what? Really easy to middle finger deploy. So now I have, front thumb stud, reverse thumb stud. I have the button lock that you can open and close with, and middle finger flick. And this became, oh my gosh, just a fidget toy. And like my wife says, I just have a bunch of expensive, sharp fidget toys, right? So this is one of those. And I really love this Pyrite. I mean, it's just, the engineering, the ridiculousness of this is just crazy. And yeah, good job, CJRB, who came up with this one. You did a great job on this. Just really fantastic. And it's a thin blade stock, so you can see it's very, very thin, about 1/10 of an inch. So it's a beautiful slicer. You're going to be able to cut. It comes to a very thin edge. Definitely not a heavy duty tool, but everything you need for an EDC, this is it right here. Just gorgeous. All right. So I love that. Another one that I bought then recently was this right here. This was another CJRB, and it's an exclusive at White Mountain Knives. And this has the red fat carbon. Now this is the feldspar, and I thought it was going to be the same size as the Pyrite. Now I found out that there's a feldspar, and then there's a large feldspar. This is the large feldspar, and it's an exclusive large feldspar, which I didn't know. So when I found that out, I was a little disappointed. I thought, oh, I'm not going to like this. So I got it, and I looked at it, and I thought, ooh, well, it does look pretty nice. And you can see back here the milling on this titanium back scale is gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Mill deep carry clip. Beautiful. Only bummer with a knife this nice, these are all T6s. That's, why? You did T8s over here, or did you? Yeah, you did T8s over here, but here you did T6. Maybe not. Maybe they're T6s over here. I can't remember. I thought they were T8s. But anyways, why T6s on a nice knife like this? Just do T8s. But needless to say, you've got good tools. You won't have to worry about that. So I got it, and I thought, well, it feels pretty good in hand. And when I flicked it, I was like, oh. And when you put it in hand, it just fits so well. Again, it was one of those surprise knives where you're like, this really, really works well. Now notice there's no jimping on the flipper, which is similar to what I had with my Ray Laconico. And I've had where there's no jimping on the flipper, and I really did not care for that. There was a Riot made one that I got from Urban EDC Supply. Did not care for that one because it just hurt my finger. And I really, if they'd fixed it, it would have been a beautiful knife. But that flipper tab was horrible. If they ever make a new version of it, fix the flipper tab, you would have yourself like Just a great knife. But this flipper tab works fantastic. Again, it was like one of those surprises. You're like, oh, it deploys really, really well. And then the thumb studs you get under here, really solid deployment. Same thing under here. Oops, do it backwards. Do it really easy, solid deployment. And it works well, you know, left-handed as well. It's really easy to deploy. Now you just got to make sure you don't put all the pressure on here. You put it back here, no problem whatsoever. Reverse flip, and of course the flipper. Beautiful. That was one of those surprises. And the scales are contoured, so it gives you just a beautiful grip and presentation, just really nice. And you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting all the bonuses here of all this working so well together. So that was one of those surprises and things in knives that you go, man, that's a bonus. Now, for all the knives and the bonuses I've had the exact opposite, where I bought a knife and you're like, well, okay. And it's one of those you're like, I know someone really loves this because you see other people talking about it. It's not for me. When you sell that knife, you pass it on to the next person who will enjoy it. But that wasn't for me. But these have been knives that I have found significant enjoyment in. Another one is going to be this one right here. This is the Dave Warren design. This is the NV version 4. He had 3 other versions. It's a sheep's foot. It's got this aluminum infused carbon fiber. Love this knife. I put these 6mm O-rings on here because it had little bevels in here where you can fit them in, and it fit really solid, and it allows for easy deployment in here and more comfortable because these aren't volcanoed thumb studs, so they don't have like a little curve like some of these other ones. So you see how this one here has a little curve, so it's a little easier to get right here and push on that, so you're not hitting a sharp edge. Well, this one was a sharp edge, and it's okay if you go down low here and you push from below, but with this I can just push right now on the O-ring. It's just super comfortable. And I catch it right here where it drops down. This is where it's below the blade. It's not going to cut me. And likewise with the reverse, it's real easy to do as well. And because it's got that full flat grind, I can get in here and do that, right? So we just reverse flick it. So again, it was one of those bonuses. You're like, it's like extra deployment methods. It almost feels like it's an extra knife within a knife, right? I don't know about you, but I get that way. When I find that I can do extra things with a knife, it's like I got an extra knife within a knife. One example, and I don't have it here with me, but the Enrique Pena Trapper. You know the little nail nick that's on the left side? I one day was looking at that and I thought, I wonder if I could. And so on the nail nick, I got my finger in here, kind of like I would do here, and I did a reverse flick on the nail nick. I'd never seen anybody ever do that on any YouTube channel anywhere. So I released a little short on that, and I got like, what, 10,000-15,000 hits on it, which I'd never had. And I was like, whoa, that's crazy. It's my biggest short ever. I was super excited, but it was just like a cool new thing, you know, like to be able to do that nail nick reverse flick. That was like a bonus on a knife that typically was just a front flipper. Now you had a new method to deploy it. Well, some other knives that fall into that, you know, there's a bunch of other ones. You know, even this Brian Brown Raptor 2, if you get it just right, you can reverse flick it. Of course, you got to get in here just right. Oops. Let me make sure I get there. Okay, here we go. All right. This my fingers. This is starting to hurt a little bit. So there we go. As long as you get in there, there you go. It's easy to flick, but that's, again, the reverse flick. You find that. It's a bonus. It's a bonus. All the QSPs from the Mini to the Plus, again, they can reverse flick with that middle finger. Again, I found that to be like a bonus. Now, this one has the flipper, so you got a bonus along with the thumb studs, but then you have the bonus of the reverse flick here. Let's make sure you hold it right. Really nice. And then when I found that out, you know, all the banters. You can do the same with the banters. You have that. You figure, okay, you can reverse and front flick it, but guess what? I get down here, and guess what? I can reverse middle finger flick it as well. All the banters, I can do that to every one of the banters as well. And I thought, oh, that's another bonus. So I felt like, again, a knife within a knife. It's like uber bonus. One other knife that I got, and I really liked the shape of this, and I saw a lot of reviews. People really liked it. They talked well about it. But then I didn't see a lot of other history on it. And one thing I noticed, everybody who had this, the detent was just really strong. And it seemed that maybe that is what was kind of killing this knife. And not a whole lot of people were doing anything about it. So like, you see how I can drop it now? When I got this knife, it would stop right here and you could shake the snot out of it and it wouldn't go down. You literally had to push it. It wouldn't drop, even with a hard shake. And I thought, that's a bummer, but I know how to tune my detents, and I do that regularly because I like a certain detent on all my knives. And,
I know some people like super strong detents, and so I could tune it for a strong detent if someone liked that. But I can also tune it for a very, very light detent, which I'm not a super light detent fan, but I do like a lighter detent, all right? So as I did that, um, I tuned this knife. It had a little issue getting the lock bar stop, the steel insert, the blade insert. It's a over travel stop, the steel blade insert, lock bar insert. Sorry, out. I had to do some tricks and heat it and get it going. But once I did that and I adjusted it, this knife became so much fun. You can see it's a hollow grind, beautiful knife. It has a beautiful blade profile. I just really like that blade profile. And and then I realized I think I have access to this. I should be able to reverse flick. And sure enough, there you go. A knife within a knife. I know that sounds stupid, but it's like I feel like I get a bonus knife out of this when I discover something like that. You know, I wasn't this says this is a flipper, and that's the ideal method of deploying it. But if you can get in here and you can just get your finger, the meter finger in there, and reverse flick, it's like a bonus knife. Just like on the left side too, you can bonus flick it, reverse knife. You feel like you get an extra knife. It's just, I don't know. It's fun. I enjoy that. It's another way of fidgeting and using the knife and having multiple ways to open it. Especially if your hands get tired from fidgeting a lot, you can switch hands and do this. I can do left-handed as well as I can do it right-handed, right? So it's a lot of fun. And this is such a beautiful knife. I love the flipper on this. It's just fantastic. But just the aesthetics of this, yeah, I think this is gonna push me towards Shirgorov at some point. It's not truly Shirgorov, but it does have some touches of it, right? Very, very slight, but not really. That's what I would call it, right? So, um, and I know those who have true Shirgorovs, it's not. It's not a Shir. I get it. It's not. And until I have a Shirgorov, I wouldn't really know what a Shirgorov is. And once you have it, you'll be like, yeah, this is not. This is not even a try wannabe. I mean, what is it? Imitation is the biggest form of flattery, and so you always notice when someone comes out with a beautiful knife design and other people kind of incorporate a variation, a kind of version of it. That isn't a form of flattery, but that's also how you get beautiful knife designs and things that become bonuses for you. I enjoy that, and to me that's a lot of fun. So, anyways, I don't know about you. What do you think about knives? What are the things that you look for, and when you get them, and surprises you get when you get a knife? To me, that's a surprise. I enjoy that. I mean, the aesthetics part are a surprise when you get, like, the first time I got red fat carbon and saw how beautiful it was, especially in the sun. I was like, wow, gorgeous, right? And then when you get a full titanium and you get something like this, that's almost semi-polished, gorgeous. You get, wow, that's gorgeous, right? But then when you get the multiple deployment methods, to me, that's a bonus knife. I really like that. Have you run across a knife that you discover a new way to use it, deploy it, close it, whatever? It's like when what is it? I don't know if I have one here, but probably can do it in this one. Yeah, the Spidey opening, right? When how you take the Spidey hole and you drop it like that to open it. I'm doing it with a Vero, so let's see if you can see it like this, right? So that's like this. They call it the Spidey opening. It's where you hold it up like that. I'd never done that, and I know some people. I've seen some people do the. I don't know if I can do it here. Yeah, they. It's hard to do, especially here. Let's see if we can do it sideways. Uh, yeah, this. I've seen some people do it online where they reverse flick it like this. And I don't know if I can do this. Let's see if I can do it. Yeah, open it like that. I have yet to try that one. That one doesn't entice me as much as some of the other ones, right? I do like reverse flicking with my left hand. That's always fun. So, do you have knives like that? Feel free to comment down below. I'd love to hear from you what your knives surprises were. I'd love to know how that went. And I'd love to hear insight from you guys. And any comments maybe on some of my videos, things you'd like to see or hear or talk about. I'd love to have some Rob's ramblings about topics that you're interested in. And if you enjoyed this content, would you please consider subscribing, hitting the subscribe button down below, and then maybe also hitting the like button as well. I sure would appreciate it. It helps me know that the content I provide is at least interesting, entertaining, or funny. So I would appreciate it. It helps me to keep producing more content. And if you like this and you want to see more future videos, maybe hit the subscribe button. And then also check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. That's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Love for you to follow me over there. Thanks so much. You guys have a great day and a great week. Bye.